We live so much of our lives online, it's basically second nature. But here's the thing. Just under that smooth, glassy surface of our screens, there's a digital minefield. So what we're going to do here is pull back the curtain on these dangers. The goal is to help you spot them, really understand how they work, and most importantly, keep yourself safe. Let's jump in.
So let's start with this. What are these invisible threats? I mean, every time you click, every single download, even just opening an email, they all carry some level of risk. And these threats, they aren't some kind of monster under the bed. Nope, they're just really sophisticated bits of code and honestly some seriously clever psychological tricks. But they all have one thing in common. They're designed to cause you harm.
All right, so let's get a basic definition down first, because it's the foundation for everything else. A security threat is really all about potential. Think of it as a danger that's constantly looking for a weakness, a little crack in the armor to get into your digital life. And once it's in, the goal could be anything from swiping your passwords to just completely wiping your hard drive.
Okay, first up, we've got to meet the most infamous family of threats out there, malware. And the name itself is kind of a dead giveaway. It's just a mashup of the words malicious and software. It's this huge umbrella term for basically any piece of software that was written specifically to cause damage or sneak into places it shouldn't be.
First up, the classic culprit you've definitely heard of, the virus. Now, just like a real-world virus, it can't really do anything on its own. It needs a host. So it latches onto a clean file, like a Word doc or some program you downloaded. And the moment you open that file, bam, you've just activated it. The key thing here is it needs you, a person, to do something, to click something, to help it spread.
Next, say hello to the virus's much more independent and frankly more dangerous cousin, the worm. And what's so wild about worms is their autonomy. A worm doesn't need a host program, and it absolutely does not need you to click anything. Once it wriggles its way onto just one computer on a network, it can copy itself and spread to every single other machine, all on its own. It's this self-spreading thing that makes worms so dangerous and able to cause massive outages, like super fast.
And then you have the Trojan. Yeah, named exactly after the legendary Trojan horse, and it works the same way. It shows up looking like something you actually want, maybe a free game or some cool utility. But hidden inside that gift is malicious code. And once you let it in, it quietly opens up a secret backdoor for attackers to sneak through, steal your data, or even take complete control of your computer. This one is just plain nasty, and it's become a massive problem for everybody, from individuals to huge corporations. See, ransomware doesn't just steal your stuff. It takes it hostage. It goes through and encrypts your most important files, your photos, your documents, all of it, making them totally useless to you. And then you get this terrifying message demanding money, a ransom, to get your own files back.
Okay, so when you put them side by side like this, the difference really clicks. The virus on the left is like a parasite, right? It has to attach to a clean file, and it needs you to do something to spread it. But the worm on the right, it's a free agent. It's totally self-sufficient and can just burrow its way through an entire network at terrifying speed all by itself.
All right, it happens to the best of us. You do everything right, and somehow some piece of malware still gets through. You get that sinking feeling in your stomach. But listen, panicking is not the answer. There's a clear game plan you can follow.
Okay, first move, disconnect from the internet immediately. That stops the malware from calling home or spreading further. Then run a deep, full scan with your antivirus software. Now, if that doesn't quite get it, sometimes you need a specialist. That's step 2. Find a dedicated removal tool built specifically for that type of infection. But if it's really dug in deep, the only 100% surefire way to get rid of it is the last resort. You got to back up your critical data, completely wipe your hard drive, and start fresh with a clean install. It's a huge step, I know, but it's the only way to be absolutely positive it's gone for good. So, we've talked about malicious code, but what happens when the threat isn't a piece of software at all? What if the vulnerability isn't in your computer, but in you? Some of the absolute most effective attacks prey on basic human trust, curiosity, and especially fear. This is the art of deception. And the most common weapon in this kind of attack is phishing. Phishing is basically just digital trickery. It's an attacker sending you a message that looks totally legit, like it's from your bank, or from Netflix, or your IT department, all to try and fool you into just handing over your personal info.
Let's paint a picture, right? It all starts with the bait. An email pops into your inbox. The sender looks official, says it's from IT support, and the subject line is designed to make your heart jump. Action required, your account is suspended.
It creates this instant sense of panic, right? And that's exactly what they're counting on.
And here comes the hook. The email says, "Oh no, to fix this problem, you have to click this link right now and log in to verify your account." But that link, it doesn't go to your company's real website. It goes to a pixel-perfect replica that the attacker controls, and it has only one purpose: to grab your username and password the second you type them in.
So what's the big lesson here? It's actually super simple, but it's probably the most powerful rule in all of cybersecurity. Before you click any link in an email, just stop. Pause for 2 seconds. Hover your mouse over it and actually look at the web address that pops up. Is it spelled right? Does it look legit? Those few seconds of healthy skepticism are everything.
Now, we usually picture hackers as these anonymous figures in hoodies, miles away in some dark room. But honestly, some of the most devastating attacks don't need to break down the door, because the attacker is already inside. Let's talk about insider threats and some really stealthy operators.
And you can see the difference so clearly here. An outsider has to find a weakness, they have to hack their way in. But an insider, we're talking an employee, a contractor, they already have the keys to the kingdom. They have legitimate access. So when they launch an attack, whether they mean to or not, it's way harder to spot because, well, they just look like a normal user doing their job.
And that brings us to the real spies of the digital world, the Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT. The key word you got to focus on here is persistent. See, unlike a ransomware attack, which is loud and in your face, an APT is all about being a ghost. These are highly sophisticated groups who get inside a network and then do everything possible to stay there, completely undetected. They move silently, for months, sometimes even years, just watching, learning the network, and slowly stealing the most valuable data without anyone knowing they're there. Okay, I know. After hearing about all these different threats, it's pretty easy to feel a little overwhelmed, maybe even want to unplug everything. But here's the good news. You are not powerless in this fight, not at all. You can build a really strong defense, and it all starts with just a few basic but incredibly powerful habits.
These are the 4 pillars of your digital fortress. Think of your antivirus software as your guards on patrol, always scanning for trouble. Your firewall? That's the fortress wall itself, controlling what gets in and what gets out. Those regular system updates are like maintenance crews, patching up any cracks in that wall that attackers could exploit. And then there's the last one, and it is the most critical piece of the whole thing: you. Educating yourself on what these threats look like is what turns you from a potential target into the first and best line of defense.
Because in the end, we can have the best, most expensive technology in the world building our digital fortresses. We can have all the locks and alarms. But technology only provides the locks. You are the one who holds the keys. You decide what to trust, what to click, what to download. So the final question really isn't about software or hardware. It's about you. Now that you know what's out there, what are you going to do to protect your keys?